Line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Ross, I'm laughing because we have a video stream. We have a video stream that goes along with the show at SuperTalkTV.com, and we usually put a headshot of the guest. Apparently there's a Ross Dellenger bobblehead that is now your headshot?
A bobble? Yeah, I do have it. My wife bought me a bobblehead. Now, I didn't think I'd taken a picture of it, but I guess at some point when she got it for me, I probably did take a picture and may have put it on Facebook or something. But yeah, so Liz bought me a bobblehead. This was probably 3-4 years ago for my birthday. She ordered it from China. It came in a box. It has me in flip flops, shorts, and it has a whiskey cup glass in my hand. So it's perfect.
Well, this is only shoulders up, so we can't see the bourbon glass, the tumbler, as it were. Borky, is this your doing?
Yeah. I honestly just Googled Ross Dellenger to try to mix up the pictures a little bit, and this was in the results.
This is exceptionally well done. If you can take your editing skills to the next level so that the head actually bobbles while it sits there on the live stream, that'd be great. Ross, glass half full of bourbon, I suppose, or half empty. I was looking at the replies to Greg McElroy's tweet from last week, where he pointed to the fact that there had been 406 games scheduled and, 85% of them have been played, and the replies were something else. And somebody said that, well, yeah, that means we had 352 super spreader events. How are you looking at this, given where we have gotten into the season and how much coverage and reporting you've done of this story going all the way back to, good grief, June, July, earlier than that?
Yeah. Well, first off, let me start with, administrators are not seeing on-field transmission of the virus, and they've got ways to track that and stuff. So that's a good thing. I still think it's almost too early to say if game crowds, which most people are doing, 20 to 30% attendance, are super spreader events. I'm not sure that there's data yet out on that. Certainly there was concern from a lot of, epidemiologists and physicians over the summer and into the season when they found out that there were going to be fans allowed. There was serious concern. I mean, I talked to the Mississippi State, the state of Mississippi's health department official, health chief, and he was really concerned. I mean, I remember him expressing real concern about having even 25% at Mississippi State and Ole Miss games. But I don't think we have enough data. I don't think we've seen real big kind of outbreaks. Even during the field storming of Notre Dame game a couple weeks ago after the win over Clemson, Notre Dame didn't have any kind of outbreak. Everybody kind of expected it, and Notre Dame didn't have any outbreaks. So those are certainly the good things that we're seeing. Doctors will tell you the bad things are we don't know the long-term effect of the virus. There's a large percent of college football players who have contracted it, and probably a large percent of coaching staffs who have contracted it. You've heard people like Ed Orgeron and other coaches even say most of my team or a great portion of my team have had it. An A&M offensive lineman I saw a couple of days ago created a buzz, or maybe yesterday created a buzz by saying all
tweeting
of the
his own horn
linemen from A&M have had it and said something like, we've done a great job with herd immunity. I mean, I'm just telling you, epidemiologists and physicians are rolling over before they get to the grave. I mean, those are things that are, a concern for the medical community. But so there's been positives and there's been negatives. And, of course, as Greg pointed out, there have been a lot of games played. We're at a 15%, I think, clip on games that have postponed. And that number continues to go maybe a slight increase. We've seen a slight increase in that, but it's kind of going back and forth because we've obviously had the addition of a lot more games being played with the other conferences, Pac-12, Big Ten, starting to play more games. So that number have stayed in between the 12 and 16% mark, which people keep asking me, is that what you expected? Is that what administrators expected? I don't know if anybody had a number expectation, but I can tell you this, from talking to Greg Sankey and Swofford in the ACC and Bob Bowlesby in the Big 12, they are fairly pleased at what has happened, thus far this season.
It's almost like if you had said to them in the second week of September, the road is going to be bumpy, but I promise you're going to be able to play 7 or 8 games at minimum. It kind of feels like they probably would have signed up for that, given the unknown. But once you get to the point where you've played 7 or 8 games, you really want to get to the finish line.
You do. And I think the answer to the first question, would they, if you told them in August that they would play at least 7 games, I think they probably would have taken that in a pretty quick heartbeat. I think they would have taken that. But you're right. We're now invested. I know there's a lot of buzz going on right now. I think yesterday maybe Lincoln Riley, or maybe over the weekend, said I think he maybe posed the question, would anybody really be surprised if we shut down everything right now in college football, just because of the amount of outbreaks we're seeing and postponements? So he himself is doubting it as a head coach. So there are certainly doubters out there and people that believe it should be shut down right now because of the national landscape of COVID cases, how we're going up and kind of skyrocketing in the amount of postponements. More and more we're seeing. I think 30% of college games in the last 2 weeks have been postponed. So that number continues to increase. So a lot of people maybe believe that we should shut down. But, I was talking about this with another writer recently. You're so invested right now. And you can see the finish line. It's right there, 2 to 3 weeks away in the regular season and a month away or so in the postseason. And you're right there that you're just so invested. You're so in deep. I see no other way than them continuing to march on.
It really gets complicated from a scheduling standpoint for anything in the SEC that gets postponed after this weekend, right?
It does, and really it got complicated yesterday when A&M and Ole Miss's game was postponed, which we all kind of expected. I had pretty much heard Sunday night it was done, and they were just waiting to get the final numbers tallied Monday, but it wasn't changing, and that really complicated matters. And the big issue is that LSU has games against the two potential, likely, whatever you want to call them, division champions, Alabama and Florida, that they have been postponed. And so right now, the LSU-Florida game has been slotted for December 12th, the makeup weekend. And the LSU-Alabama game doesn't have a place to go because Alabama is probably likely to compete in the championship game on the date of the other makeup weekend, on December 19th. So right now, the league is trying to figure out a way, right, for two things to happen. To play that LSU-Alabama game and not to avoid having Florida play a game the weekend before the championship game and Alabama not play a game the weekend before the championship game. And I don't know how you figure that out except to move the LSU-Ole Miss game to December 19th and play LSU-Alabama in its place on December 5th and move Alabama, I think it's Alabama-Arkansas, to December 12th. The problem with that, of course, which is what happened yesterday, is now the Ole Miss A&M game is penciled in for December 19th because A&M already has a postponement with Tennessee on December 12th. And so and further complicating matters is A&M is in a real possibility to be in contention for a playoff berth, and an 8-1 A&M isn't as strong as a 9-1 A&M. So really,
Michael Borky came up with a solution on this. He says you play Ole Miss A&M on December 12th and A&M Tennessee on December 19th, and you play Ole Miss LSU on December 19th. That's how you get them all in.
So you're talking about A&M Tennessee would be on the 19th.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Push it to the 19th, and you play Ole Miss A&M on December 12th.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, that makes sense. You just swap them. I haven't seen Tennessee's schedule, but if they got that only one postponement, then that could make sense. Yeah, we might see that happen, or we might see a team or teams only play 9 games.
All of those possibilities are on the table. I'm mad that we run out of time because I wanted to ask you about Hugh Freeze in South Carolina. I know you wrote a big story about Hugh a few weeks ago, but I guess we'll have to hold that until next time. Always appreciate your time, Ross. Good visiting with you.
All right, Richard. Thanks.
Ross Dellenger, Sports Illustrated.